Hi there, my name is Dr. Simon Murray. I'm an internist from Princeton, New Jersey, and a clinical assistant professor at Rutgers Medical School in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I am joined today by Dr. Ola Landgren, the Chief of Myeloma Service at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and a professor of medicine at the Weill Cornell Medical School in New York City. Today we'll be talking about guideline-compliant testing for the early diagnosis of multiple myeloma and the roles of serum free-chain assays and serum protein electrophoresis. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Landgren. Let's begin.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm really excited to talk to you because as an internist, we see cases of myeloma, and often, unfortunately, we mishandle them perhaps because, and they get diagnosed too late. So what we'd like to find out today is ways that we can improve upon that for general practitioners and internists on how we handle cases. I'll start off by telling you about a recent case I had. I have an 80-year-old man who's a mail carrier, a retired mail carrier. He has no medical problems other than mild hypertension. He was raised and lived in New Jersey his whole life. He's African American, and he served in the Vietnam War. He presented to my office for a physical examination, which was entirely normal. But routine laboratory studies revealed a total protein of 9. Everything else was completely normal, including creatinine, CBC. And I was concerned about the elevated protein. So the next step that I took was to order a serum protein electrophoresis, which came back positive for a spike, an M spike. The next step I took then was to do an immunofixation test and a urine for Bence-Jones protein. Now, do you think from your experience that's the appropriate way to have worked that up, to have approached that problem?
I do think the workup with the total protein being elevated triggers the thinking of looking if there could be a monoclonal protein hidden there versus if this could be a polyclonal elevation, could be due to an inflammation or some more of a normal body response. That's very important. So yes, the protein electrophoresis I would definitely do. In my practice, because I'm very specialized, I would not do it stepwise. I would do both the protein electrophoresis. I would also do the immunofixation, as you mentioned. And in addition to what you just mentioned, I would also do serum free light chain testing for kappa and for lambda. And that would give me a lot of information. You mentioned the Bence-Jones protein. So historically, that was discovered by Sir Henry Bence-Jones in the United Kingdom many, many years ago. And that was discovered in the urine. I mentioned I would look for light chains in the serum. Serum free light chain assays have been around for more than 15 years. And I think they could replace the urine testing. We still do urine testing because we were trained to do that in med school. So many times we do both urine testing and serum free light chain testing. I think there's one last detail here that's clinically important, and I think that the serum free light chain testing versus the urine testing of light chain, they are probably interchangeable. But the urine testing could also reveal if there is evidence of leakage of other proteins. So you would have to do a 24-hour urine to rule that out. And in the setting of plasma cell disorders, that would be to basically rule out that you don't leak a lot of other proteins such as albumin, which could indicate that could be AL amyloidosis. So I would do 24-hour urine, I would do serum-free light chains, I would do protein electrophoresis and immunofixation to begin with. And if I establish that there are abnormal proteins, from that point I would not do any more 24-hour urine. I would stop that. So then it would be serum-based light chain tracking.
Now, presuming that this man had no symptoms, he had no complaints, would his diagnosis be multiple myeloma or would it be another diagnosis?
So based on what we have talked about so far, that's not possible to answer. And the reason for that is because the definition for multiple myeloma in 2014 was changed from requiring basically symptoms to now also being a biomarker-defined disease. Mm-hmm. So specifically what that means is that the free light chain kappa divided by lambda or lambda divided by kappa if the patient is a lambda secretor, if that ratio goes over 100, and assuming that the so-called involved light chain is over 10 milligram per deciliter or more, that would make it multiple myeloma, independent of symptoms.
Without symptoms, without crab.
That is correct. So the protein markers we are talking about could make it a diagnosis of myeloma. And there are 6 other variables, but that would be one of them.
That sounds to me like that test is a lot better than doing a urine for Bence-Jones protein.
Well, the urine testing, as I mentioned, does not add really anything to the serum-free light chain testing for the purpose of tracking light chains. And the diagnostic criteria is based on the serum-free light chain testing. But the urine for 24 hours as a baseline test to rule out there is no leaking kidney that leaks a lot of other proteins still could have a role. But in reality, the role is probably quite marginal for the urine testing.